was 31 years ago that Sri Lanka, one of the most enchanting lands on earth, the Paradise Island, sacrificed its beauty, prosperity, and the safety of its people due to the unwisely calculated games of war. Historical circumstances created by political divisions between two ethnic groups led Sri Lanka into chaos, devastation, and loss of life, creating nothing but deep, painful cracks and scars across the very fabric of the entire nation, what ideally should have been one land and one country. Sri Lanka took on this stress and strain of war to prove yet again just how unnatural self-hurting and futility really is when people take up the path of destruction to create a new world. There were many attempts to come to a peaceful agreement. However, instead of trying to reach a political settlement to the ongoing disputes, an organization emerged and decided to take up arms. The LTTE soon eliminated all other Tamil political groups and organizations, and began a series of deadly attacks on civilians and government institutions. From that point on, there was no turning back. After numerous deaths from all ethnic groups, the government realized that enough was enough, and it was time to put out the fire once and for all. A swift military action was required to dismantle the terrorist organization, who held the entire nation hostage, Sinhalese, Tamils, and Muslims alike. The LTTE virtually took hundreds of thousands of civilians and used them as human shields, including children whose childhoods were stolen, and turned them into suicide bombers. An important fact that the world should remember is the fact that during the final stage of the conflict, countless Tamils attempted to cross over and flee into the safe zone, but were prevented at gunpoint. After the bloody battle was over, hundreds of thousands of innocent Tamil civilians desperately fled into the army-held territories, frightened, impoverished, and injured by their own kind. Many of them were born into a world where freedom, peace, and harmony did not exist. Only fear, devastation, and pain. The LTT ruled with an iron fist, crushing anything and anyone, including Tamils, who questioned its authority or even dared standing in its way. A miracle has taken place in May 2009. The slaughtering of innocent lives of all ethnic groups has come to an end. The world's most deadliest terrorist organization has been defeated. A new task has been assigned. A task which does not require a weapon, bulletproof jackets, and first aid. A task simply called 5R. Resettlement, reconstruction, rehabilitation, reintegration, and reconciliation. The first step of resettlement was the process of demining. Scattered and spread across wide areas, landmines were indiscriminately planted without any documentation. Tamil civilians were sheltered in the IDP camps, having no place safe due to the buried landmines. The minefields have been cleansed one by one, enabling the gradual return of the internally displaced persons. Therefore, demining, which required tremendous expertise and bravery, was the first step on the path to resettlement. The demining operation was only the beginning of the 5-hour task. The brutal civil war had destroyed most of the infrastructure, including the homes of Tamils. This called for reconstruction, the rebuilding and construction of houses, roads, schools, hospitals, and all other essential infrastructure. The 30 years of conflict left these areas completely underdeveloped. Roads had to be constructed in order to reconnect the north and the south to speed up development process, including the reunification of the country. Railroads, power lines, water pipelines, and many of the infrastructure projects commenced simultaneously. The population of the war-ravaged areas relied heavily on agriculture and fishing for their livelihood. It was essential for an adequate supply of water. Before long, hundreds of tanks were reconstructed and thousands of water pumps were provided for families and farms in remote areas so that they too could start and maintain their own independent food production. Fishing. North and east fish markets re-emerged once again. Fishermen were once again able to provide for their families, as well as supply fresh seafood to various parts of Sri Lanka. During the conflict, severely injured Tamil civilians were urgently transported to the state-of-the-art hospitals in Colombo, having all fees waived off by the government and hospital institutions. Now, hospitals are being built, prioritizing the health of the civilians. The restoration of damaged schools, playgrounds, libraries, and hospitals, as well as the building of new ones, has gone underway. Reconstruction was indeed a vital part of growth in the resettled society. Many innocent beings were born into a life of brutal war during the 30-year period of conflict, not knowing of any other greener pastures that did exist elsewhere. Parents would send their children off to school, praying for them to return home. The emotional, physical, and mental scars of war are bared by all. Some, loss of homes, loved ones, body parts, ligaments, and limbs, and some, all of the above. Rehabilitation and reintegration back into society was in desperate need of these individuals, whom were not all innocent civilians, but former LTT cadres as well. Profiling and counseling commenced to face and embrace the future ahead. They were born into an environment of conflict, whereas children, they were given weapons instead of books and bats to study and to play. To help such people, educational rehabilitation centers have been built to provide basic vocational training and education, enabling them to get jobs for the first time in their lives. Numerous artificial limbs have been donated to the civilians, including former terrorists who lost vital body parts due to the inflicted harm caused by their own, crippled by landmines planted by their own. These ex-combatants, totaling up to 12,000 who were once on the other side, have been given amnesty by the government and successfully rehabilitated, including 595 child soldiers, are now leading normal lives despite the painful past. These 12,000 former terrorists are now able to see the light and reintegrate into society. Jobs were given by the government, offering a major support and boost into a normal life. Even 3,000 former rehabilitated cadres joined the Civil Defense Force, 600 into the police force, and 145 female former cadres joined the Sri Lanka Army after their requests had been fulfilled. It was the government's policy and priority to resettle the Tamils first. Within a small yet crucial period of just 3 years, the government performed an unparalleled act, something unheard of. 300,000 Tamil civilians were successfully resettled, whereas still, numerous thousands of Sinhalese and Muslims are yet to be resettled. The Kilinochchi railroad track has been reconstructed, allowing a safe and economical mean of transportation to and from the north. Housing projects equalizing 50,000 plus homes are undergoing development with the support of the government of Sri Lanka, India, and EU. The final R of the 5R task is reconciliation through various avenues such as sports, education, flourishing paddy fields and agriculture, fishing, international communities, traditional culture, and reconciliation through religious harmony. The student-teacher ratio is 1:15:20. The best student with the highest A-level results in the entire country is from and in Jaffna. Not forgetting a vital part of life, democracy. The freedom to vote, freedom of movement, speech, purchasing land, just to name a few that are currently being exercised in the nation. The Sri Lanka voter turnout is currently standing tall at 71%. Law and order has successfully been restored. This is what can be considered to be called democracy. The Declaration of Human Rights states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. The LTTE did not allow this, forcing terrorism upon their own kind, women and children included. And this is what the government of Sri Lanka sincerely fought against.